Hello everyone, this is Void Spirit. I'm here to bring you guys amazing fanfiction that you will surely enjoy. But before we start, please subscribe and like the video for more amazing content.
CH54. The True Purpose of the Gods. Rimuru and Velda had been fighting for quite a while. Rimuru had summoned his subordinates, so it was no problem to prolong the fight. In fact, Velda was much easier to deal with. He was no longer powerful. This is even normal, since he had separated from Yuki's body that Rimuru absorbed. Rimuru didn't even need to release the seal of his powers to fight with. Rimuru used his normal katana and Velda used the mysterious black sword. Rimuru's reason for not releasing the seal and killing Velda quickly is because he wants to find out more about the gods and also Velda's motives. He fears that if he releases the seal, Velda will use a soul-destroying crystal and kill herself so as not to give out information, or even run away. It was a mistake not to kill Velda. It was a mistake not to end the battle right away, and Rimuru would find that out. "You're holding back, aren't you?" Velda asks. Of course. The two talked a lot during the battle, but most of the time it was Velda trying to annoy Rimuru. Velda knew of Rimuru's real strength, so why did he come to face her in this state? This question was on Rimuru's mind. Seal couldn't tell either, but she was calculating the possibilities. "Why are you holding back? Are you underestimating me?" "No, I need some information from you." "Oh, you can ask me, if I want I'll answer you." This exchange of words took place while they were fighting. Since Velda could run away, Rimuru figured there was no harm in asking a few things before that. "What is your goal?" "I don't want to answer. What is the goal of the gods?" "I can't answer." Rimuru clicked his tongue in disgust. "Okay, I will answer a question of yours. It doesn't matter what it is. Let's have a little talk." Velda threw his sword away. He seemed really sincere about talking. Apparently he would answer only one question from Rimuru. However, it could be any question. Rimuru also threw his katana away. He then asked what he most wanted to know. Where is Hinata? Her friend and Chloe's best friend who had been kidnapped by the gods to reveal information about him. Rimuru couldn't help but feel guilty about that. He had to find her. Even though it might be a waste of an opportunity where he could find out more about the gods, Rimuru didn't care. He needed to rescue Hinata. Little did Rimuru know that this question would change the battle. Ha ha. Velda laughed. He had just realized how to complete his plan. "What are you laughing at? It's just this question, I really want to answer. Hinata Sakaguchi, right? She's dead." "Ha ha ha ha. And to think you're still so naive, slime. There's no reason to leave her alive. We got the information we wanted and killed her. Simple as that. I stole her memories myself, then I killed her. And to think that you would believe that she is still alive, you are really naive. I also don't understand why you attach so much importance to that woman. She..." "Shut up." Rimuru couldn't stand to hear him talk any longer and cut in. Hinata was a very close person to Rimuru. Even though they had been enemies in the past, nowadays they were very close friends, so Rimuru wasn't going to let Velda talk bad about her. Rimuru was already very angry with Velda saying that Hinata was dead. Even though Rimuru had no way to confirm if Hinata's death was true, Rimuru didn't want to hear it anymore. It was too much for him. Rimuru was going to confirm himself whether Hinata was alive or dead. But before that he would shut Velda's mouth. Velda could feel the anger in Rimuru's voice, and exactly why he smiled. "What are you going to do, huh? Are you going to kill me? You can try." Rimuru did not answer. Instead he picked up his sword, which he had thrown away, and charged at Velda with all speed. For some reason Velda didn't seem concerned about deflecting or blocking. He just opened his arms as if to say, "Come." Seeing this, Rimuru increased his speed. "Master, it's a trap." However, Rimuru did not listen to Seal and attacked Velda. He successfully drove his katana into Velda's chest. Seal realized Velda was acting strange in this battle. He was all the time trying to provoke Rimuru and trying to make him angry. Another strange gesture was to drop his sword in the middle of the fight and ask Rimuru to drop his sword as well. They could just as well talk with their weapons in hand. Another thing was that there was no advantage in telling about Hinata's death, even if it was true. However, Seal realized too late and Rimuru attacked anyway. "Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. It's done. It's done, Velda-sama." "What are you?" Velda's hair began to turn blonde, his clothes began to change, he began to turn into another person. Rimuru had received from Akame the description of some of the gods, and one of them was this one, EHT. Rimuru was surprised. It wasn't easy to affect him with illusions, so how did EHT, Velda do it? Rimuru noticed something else change. His katana began to change shape. The katana transformed into the same mysterious sword that Velda was using. This sword was releasing an energy that even Seal couldn't analyze. Looks like the plan worked. I will free them and revive them. Seemed to think he would revive for some reason, but Rimuru knew better. Seal told him that Et's soul was breaking apart because of the sword, so it would be impossible to revive him. It was then that Rimuru heard a voice. It seems that everything worked out fine, but I'm sorry, you will not revive. Standing behind was Velda. The real Velda. What, but I was told.
I know. We lied. You wouldn't help if you knew, would you? Though you, realized. He was going to die. He had nothing to do now. Soon the plan will be complete. Velda said seriously. This was Velda, now Rimuru was sure. Actually Rimuru should have suspected that before Velda was as his personality was different, but now he knew, this was Velda. What is this plan? Rimuru couldn't help but wonder.
Had been deceived. He had devoted himself totally to the gods and yet they had betrayed him, lied to him. And now was going to die because of this. Not only that, but his death would complete the plan of the gods who betrayed him.
Now decided, he would take revenge on the gods. Even if he was about to die, he was going to spoil their plans. You should not have betrayed me, Velda. declared and formed a mental connection with Rimuru. Seal realized that this mental connection was only for conversation and not a mental attack, so he did not stop it. had only a second to live, so Rimuru used thought acceleration.
What do you want? Tisk, I want revenge and for that I will inform you.
That was it. In his last second of life was going to share as much information as he could with Velda's greatest enemy, Rimuru. told as much as he could. He didn't have much time. So the first thing he did was share a memory that explained the purpose of the gods.
Hello, No need to bow down, come.
Velda had called to have an important conversation. Frankly, was sure he would be killed. The assassin he had hired, Akame, had betrayed them and was now on Rimuru's side. Yet he was surprised that he was still alive.
Velda and sat down at a table. The reason I called you here is to tell you about our ultimate goal.
Et's eyes widened as he heard Velda's words. The end goal was known to few other than Velda, and had done nothing to put him on the same level as the people who knew. In fact he had failed repeatedly. I know you must find this strange, but the truth is that you are necessary for this plan. This is also the reason we haven't punished you even after your failures.
What? Me, I'm sorry, Velda-sama, but how am I necessary for the plan?
You have what we call the door. Velda explained to the door was something that held people. There was only one in each universe and if the individual died, the door would attach itself to another random individual. It was totally impossible to detect it, no matter how good your analysis skills were. The only way to make the door detectable was if the individual acquired a supreme or higher ability.
You have the lying god Loki skill, so we can find you.
This skill was focused on illusions and was also a skill that would use against Rimuru in the future. Velda-sama, what is the door? Yes, the door is one of the elements we need for our ultimate goal, multiversal domination. was shocked. That was an extremely large goal. He never thought it was possible. And how will we do that? He asked. The gods were powerful, but not to the point of being able to dominate all the universes. First we get more power and free our leader. For that we need you. Our leader. Yes, our true leader. Velda explained. This leader was a very powerful being who also had many powerful subordinates, but he was trapped in an isolated universe that was impossible to access. This universe was created as a prison for them, a prison created by the star dragon Veldanava himself. The leader is very powerful, you know. He had as much power as Veldanava, the two were even born at the same time. From what the leader told me, Veldanava was afraid that the leader would harm the universes that were created, so he sealed the leader and his creations in a universe that was impossible to access.
Ah, Velda-sama, you are free to ask questions. Fufu, okay. So, who is this leader? And if he is in an isolated universe, how do you know these things?
The leader as well as his subordinates can't leave that universe, but they can get in touch with people. This is also how various legends were created about them in various universes. And by the way, their names were given to various abilities they have today. The leader contacted me some time ago, his name is Azathoth. was surprised by this. He had heard the legend of Azathoth before. And what does the gate have to do with these things? Velda explained him. The only method of opening the prison universe was to get 3 items: the door, the lock, and the key.
The lock is a Genesis-class sword that we found some time ago. That sword is made from the blood of Azathoth. That part won't be a problem. The problem is the key. The key is defined as the most powerful individual in the universes.
Wait, is that the... Yes, it is our enemy, Rimuru. Azathoth himself confirmed to me that it is him. The problem is, how do we get the prison open? There is only one night every billion years when the prison is accessible. On this night we need Rimuru to gouge you with the lock. However, this blow must be done in anger. Then, yes, the prison will open. Now EHT understood why they kept going after people close to Rimuru. If any of them died, it would be much easier to make him angry.
Velda also told EHT that he would not die during the opening of the prison. But this was a lie. EHT wanted to share more memories with Rimuru, but his time was up, he died. Rimuru turned off the thought acceleration and saw Et's body in front of him, as well as Velda standing behind him. Now Rimuru understood the gods' plan, their ultimate goal, and he was not going to let that happen.
It is happening. Velda spoke, but it was not to Rimuru. He was in contact with Azathoth.
A small round portal appeared in front of him. A portal as black as the void. On the other side Rimuru could see a legion of people, and at the bottom of them, an eye. A gigantic eye that would scare anyone to death, but Rimuru was not intimidated. He gave Seal an order. Seal-san, release the seal. Yes. Rimuru released his sealed powers. This was a very serious moment, so he did not hesitate to do so. Rimuru's hair and eyes began to glow. The aura around him was so thick that it would kill a normal person in 2 seconds. Master, I know the best way to stop them. Seal explained her plan and Rimuru agreed on the spot. Her plans always worked. Rimuru had to be as quick as possible. More than 10 people were already passing through the portal, and just by looking, he realized that they were not weak. All more powerful than demon lords, in fact one of them could rival a true dragon. These were the ones who were imprisoned along with Azathoth, the gods. Velda began to list the names of those who had come through the portal, and Rimuru felt he heard some familiar ones such as Atlas, Shub Niggurath and Odin. Rimuru quickly went to the portal and tried to destroy it with a sword. Just as Seal predicted, it didn't work. An invisible barrier stopped him in his tracks. Velda noticed his actions, but didn't think it was something to worry about. He knew that the portal was indestructible, but just to be on the safe side he still put a guard on it. The others who were also passing through the portal didn't care because they knew of the portal's resistance. Seal had detected an unusual barrier around the portal. This barrier was made of a large number of creatures called RYV. These creatures were invisible, super small, and super strong. In addition, they reproduced quickly, so even if Rimuru broke a part of the barrier they formed, it would be recovered immediately. This barrier was probably made this way because Velda had used the space-time block, so he couldn't make a space barrier, but this was a great barrier. Rimuru put his hand on the barrier and used organic matter control from Evil Dragon Lord Auzdahaka. He disintegrated all the RYV and shattered the barrier. Rimuru tried to get closer to the portal, but Azathoth's legion didn't seem the least bit happy about it. Both those who had already passed through the portal and those who were still in the prison universe tried to kill him, but he easily drove them away. The only thing that was needed was to release Stardust energy from the magic generator. Everyone turned away from the energy as they were afraid, but Rimuru knew that given his strength they would soon think of something. So he went straight to the portal and executed the last part of his plan. He used consumerism from Void God Azathoth. This caused the portal to be transported to his infinite prison. This was Ciel's plan. Ciel realized that it was impossible to destroy or close the portal, so she decided to adopt this plan. She transported the portal to the prison inside infinite space, and if anyone went through the portal they would be trapped there. The only other person there is Yuki, but Yuki at least has Shizu's soul to talk to. If the gods went through the portal now, they would immediately get stuck. Looks like your plan didn't work out, Velda. Rimuru sneered. He could see Velda's serious look staring at him. Don't worry Velda-sama, 20 of us made it through, now there are other methods. A man with an eye patch spoke up. Tisk, if you say so, Odin. Then let's leave. There's no reason for us to stay here anymore. Velda reluctantly chose not to attack Rimuru. But he knew this was the best choice. Rimuru was too powerful. Heimdall, be my guest. The old man in the eye patch ordered the man next to him. This man was wearing a large gray armor that covered his entire body. The man named Heimdall took a large axe from his back and dug it into the ground. Bifrost. A pillar of light descended from the heavens and covered all the people there except Rimuru. Rimuru did not attack as Seal could not analyze the light, so it could be dangerous. A few seconds passed and everyone who was covered by the light disappeared. Seal-san, what happened? The analysis was not complete, but I believe it is some kind of teleportation. I thought space was blocked. How did they teleport? It was a teleportation method that doesn't affect space. I see. Rimuru undid the protective cube in which he and Velda were fighting. He had a lot to think about this battle, but first he had to check that everyone was okay. He floated down to the ground and released Seal. Master, are you all right? Seal stepped out into Shizu's form with a worried expression on his face. Yeah, I just think I was a little shaken when they said Hinata is dead, Rimuru said and stroked Ciel's cheeks. Master, you have no way of knowing if it's true. Remember that Et's ability was Lying King Loki. Yes, I know. Thank you for your concern. Rimuru said contentedly, let's go find the others. I don't think there is any need. As Ciel spoke, Rimuru detected several powerful people approaching. He looked in their direction and saw Chloe, Hajime, Akame, Testarossa, Ultima and Carrera. Rimuru-san, are you okay? Chloe, of course I am. Seeing that he was fine, Chloe hugged him tightly. Rimuru didn't know why he was so worried, but he loved the hug. Chloe is so cute, he thought and stroked her hair. Chloe smiled happily and continued in his arms. The reason Chloe was worried was because they had found out that the main target was Rimuru. That's why she didn't want to let him go now. Are the others okay? Where is Sakura? He asked worriedly. Rimuru-sama, there is no need to worry. The army of those of the demon race has been destroyed. Yes, we also slaughtered the heavenly army for you. Exactly. We didn't even leave any bodies behind, no one will even remember your existence. Testarossa, Ultima and Carrera spoke respectively. Seeing them say that with a smile on their faces scared Rimuru a little, but he was used to it by now. However, the look on Hajime's face was killing him, you could see it on his face. Are these your subordinates? Hajime used violence without hesitation, but he was not a battle maniac like the three demon girls, so they scared him a little. Okay, let's go find the others, on the way I'll explain what happened. Chloe didn't want to let go of the hug, so Rimuru took her in his lap like a princess. Ciel looked a little jealous next to him. It is a pleasure to meet you. I am Diablo, a servant of the great demon Lord Rimuru. Diablo said and bowed with elegant movements. Yet no one paid any attention to his words. Everyone was too afraid for that. Ares' betrayal had seriously shaken everyone. When Meld was controlled and Hayama also betrayed them, everyone was even more shaken, but yet they were still sane. All the students had been well trained, so it was hard to cause panic in them. But to see Diablo with his absolute power, crushing his enemies cruelly and still keeping a smile on his face was too much for them. They all freaked out. All the students were staring at Diablo with wide eyes and not moving a muscle. They were all wondering what Diablo would want in return for saving them, their souls. For them, if it was just the souls, it was fines, but everyone believed that would be too benevolent for this evil being in front of them. Oh, is there a problem? Diablo was confused by the students' reaction. Isn't this the moment when they thank me? He asked, addressing Liliana. Oui. When Diablo spoke to her, Liliana fell on her butt on the floor and let out a scream that was very reminiscent of a frightened dog. Diablo threw her another confused look. Finally someone regained their senses and came to talk to Diablo. It was Kaori. Oh hello, Ko, could you tell us why your name? And why did you save us? Kaori's delicate legs trembled as she spoke. Yet no one blamed her. She was actually the bravest for being able to talk to Diablo. Kufufufufufu, of course. Just as I said before, my name is Diablo. And you must be Miss Kaori, right? One of Rimuru-sama's traveling companions. Everyone was surprised that Diablo knew Kaori, including herself. May I ask how you know me? Kaori was being super polite. She couldn't piss off the man in front of her. If she did that, it would be certain death. Those were her genuine thoughts. If she had listened to his earlier words, she would have been calmer, as she would have known that Diablo was sent by Rimuru. It was then that everyone heard a female voice coming from above. Next to them were two men dressed in black suits. It was Chiron and Spider. They had been sent to protect them during the confrontation with the demon race, but in the end it was not necessary. After the battle they talked to them that they had been sent by Rimuru and they were reassured. Kaori-san, are you okay? What happened here? They looked in the direction of the voice and saw you, Sakura and Shia. Beside them were two men dressed in black suits. They were Chiron and Spider. They had been sent to protect them during the confrontation against the demon race, but in the end it was not necessary. After the battle they told them that they had been sent by Rimuru and they were reassured. Then everyone came to see if their colleagues were all right and also to find out why they hadn't taken part in the battle. The one who asked the question was Shia, but Yu and Sakura were also worried after seeing so many dead people here and all the blood on the ground. They landed and Kaori breathed a sigh of relief when she saw them. Actually, the male students also seemed calmer after seeing 3 beauties arrive here. Shia-san? Ah, why yes, I'm fine, it's just that. Yu let out a groan of surprise. Only now had she noticed Diablo standing there. Her detect presence did nothing. She stopped walking to Kaori and stared at Diablo. Shia and Sakura did the same after noticing him. However, Chiron and Spider kept walking. The 2 bowed and said, Diablo-sama, these are the girls you asked us to protect. I see. Vampire, demi-human and insectar? Kufufufufu, I never thought I would find a relative of Sir Zijin here. The 3 girls grew calmer as they saw Chiron and Spider bowing. This meant that Diablo was also on their side. They trusted Spider and Chiron as Yu assured them that if the 2 wanted to harm them, they would not need an elaborate plan. Yu knew this as she measured the strength of the 2 with an eye device she got from Hajime. Hajime gave it to her to find out if there was anyone powerful in the demon race army, and if there was, it was for Yu to warn him. When Chiron and Spider came, Yu measured their strength and was scared because these guys were as strong or even stronger than Hajime. How strong will that guy be? Yu wondered and tried to measure with the eye device. Huh? She let out a confused groan as the device didn't detect anything. Kufufufu, you want to measure my strength? How? Yu couldn't help but wonder internally. She thought Diablo would be angry, but it was nothing of the sort. With pleasure. Crick, the device broke. Yet for a moment Yu got a glimpse of Diablo's strength. It was a terror. It was probably the scariest thing she had ever seen in her life. Maybe it couldn't top seeing Rimuru massacre an army, but it came close. Good thing this guy is on our side. Yu said and wiped the sweat dripping on her forehead. Shia and Sakura, seeing her reaction, were also a little scared. They moved closer to talk to Diablo and Kaori. So, what happened around here? So, it's just that it's kind of hard to explain. Kaori didn't know how to explain and she was still scared of Diablo. At this moment Shizuku, who was suffering the after effects of limit break, approached. Kaori. Could you help me? Shizuku said and let out a groan of pain. Kaori immediately went to help her. As Shizuku was healed, she asked, do you guys know him? Not exactly, but we have an idea who he is. Shia replied. They had already heard Rimuru talk about some of his subordinates. Guys, are you okay? Once again a voice was heard coming from above. There was Rimuru along with Hajime, Chloe, Seal, Akame, Testarossa, Ultima and Carrera. Heheheha, don't worry, Rimuru-sama. I've taken care of everything. Shizuku and the other students had just regained their senses, so they were confused to hear Diablo treat Rimuru so respectfully. That's going to be hard to explain, Rimuru said inside. Ch 55. After the battle, Rimuru and the others landed and Rimuru asked Diablo and the other demons to leave for now. After all, they would only cause more trouble. Rimuru then asked for a summary of what had happened so far. He was surprised by Aries' betrayal, but then he remembered that Seal was already suspicious of her. Obviously he was not surprised by Hyama's betrayal. When Kaori talked about Meld, where is Meld-san? Here. Shizuku and the others brought Meld's body. He was still white-eyed and his skin was pale. He is still under the effects of Aries' magic. Meld-san is dead. Shizuku said with a tear streaming from her face. Everyone was saddened by this. Meld was someone very important to all of them. Seal-san, can we do something? Rimuru asked shyly. He think it would be hard to have something to do, but he had to ask. Of course. Rimuru didn't expect the immediate confirmation, so he let out a confused groan. Seal approached Meld and squatted down beside him. Rimuru gave her permission and she borrowed the skill, God of Souls Hades. Seal guarded Meld's soul. It seems that girl, Eri, has strengthened Meld's soul, to make him stronger, so it will be possible to revive him. Seal used a potion and healed Meld's body. Then she put his soul back. This would not have been possible in most situations, but Meld had suffered from the bind soul spell and Eri still spent extra magic on him, so it was possible for Meld to survive. He's fine, he's just going to sleep for a while. It could be even days. Seal said and stood up. The others were surprised and happy about Meld's survival. Rimuru-kun, who is Shizuku-chan, I think it's better to leave the questions for later, don't you agree? Everyone is very tired today.
Kaori interrupted Shizuku and suggested that everyone rest and talk tomorrow. Shizuku and the other students easily agreed. Everyone was mentally and physically exhausted. Liliana called some guards to arrest Eri and then went to find out how her father, the king, was doing. Unfortunately, she would find out that he was dead. Guys, let's go find Tio-san and Sensei. Rimuru spoke and everyone agreed. Rimuru flew off and took them along. They saw Tio flying with Aiko on her back, but they would not leave the place. It was then that Chloe received a telepathic message from Tio through the same channel they had talked earlier.
Chloe, is the battle over? Is Gushin-sama and the others okay?
Yes, why? Then I think you guys better come over here. Everyone came over to her. Aiko showed her happiness that they were okay and even hugged Hajime. This was a bit much, but no one commented on anything. They asked what was going on and Tio pointed them to something on the ground. It was something that looked like a blue hologram of a grown man.
I think it's one of the liberators. He seems to want us to follow him. Hajime and Yu's observations were right. They followed the man and arrived at a church on God's mountain. This church was at the foot of the mountain and was usually surrounded by guards, but not today.
Mildy said something about that, right? That one of the great dungeons was on God's mountain. Yes. Everyone agreed with Shia's remark and approached the church. Inside it had a statue of a man in a large magic circle. They already knew what was coming, so they climbed into the magic circle.
They all felt their memories being deeply scoured. Not only that, but they also had the information of the concept of this dungeon implanted in their minds. They all passed the test.
The test for gaining this magic was not to be attached to faith. They could not have faith in the gods. Maybe this was why the church protected this place. To them, giving power to those who don't believe in gods was basically strengthening their enemy. Quote. Spirit magic. Yes. What incredible magic.
Aiko seemed the only one impressed by the magic. But that was because the others had just seen Rimuru save Meld with this magic.
Oi, Rimuru, don't tell me that you. Well, what can I say?
Rimuru seemed hesitant to confirm Hajime's suspicions. Cecile spoke up for him. Master already has this magic. Actually, this magic is a degraded version of the Master's magic. However, it will still be useful since to return home we need to use magic from this world. I see. So, Rimuru-san already had this magic? It seems so, Shia. Really impressive. Hajime, Shia, Yu and Tio spoke in this sequence. They didn't comment on anything of the sort, but their gazes said, cheater, and that was torture for Rimuru. Be well, I guess we'd better rest. Rimuru spoke, grabbed Sakura, Chloe and Seal and quickly left the scene. What a day, huh? But it all worked out in the end. Hajime said as he walked into his room. Behind him were Yu, Shia, and Tio. Hajime put away his weapons and threw himself on the bed. There was only one bed in this room, so everyone was going to have to sleep together. It really was. How are you, Hajime-san? Shia lay down next to Hajime and checked his injuries. Hajime thought it was a little cute that she was worrying about him. Ma, don't worry. I'm a spiritual life form now. Whatever that means, and it looks like it's hard to hurt me. Hajime reassured her. That was impressive. Gushin-sama even got his arm and eye back. Tio said impressed. Seeing limbs being recovered was not something normal in this world. Well, I liked it. Now Hajime-kun won't be hugging us with that icy arm anymore. Kaori said and put Hajime's arm around her waist. Fufu, I have several new ideas. Yu's gaze was the same as a predator's. It was obvious what she was going to use this new arm for. Let's go to sleep. Hajime suggested before Yu got too excited. He hugged Yu to his side and closed his eyes. Kaori hugged him from behind and tried to sleep as well. Ever since Hajime-san and Kaori-san started dating, Hajime-san has never slept with me again. The night came to a close with this complaint from Shia. Filled circle, it was a tiring day. Rimuru said and yawned. He threw himself on his bed. Rimuru, Sakura, Chloe and Seal were in a room that Liliana got for them. This was the same room that Rimuru stayed in when they had first arrived in this world. Rimuru-san, about Hinata, is it true? Chloe asked. Don't worry. It's probably a lie, they just needed to annoy me. Hinata should be fine. Who is that again? Sakura asked curiously. Oh, that's right, we don't talk about her much. Hinata is a friend of ours from the other world. She used to be a hero who tried to kill me, but we made up. Rimuru and Hinata had fought a while ago, but that only happened because of the manipulation of the 7 sages. A hero? Sakura got a thoughtful expression. Yes, why? No, nothing. Rimuru found Sakura's reaction strange, but made no comment. Sakura materialized her pajamas and lay down. Seal went to bed too, but she didn't materialize her pajamas. In fact, she took off her clothes. What? See, Seal-san, what are you doing? Rimuru was shocked, but it wasn't just him. Chloe and Sakura hadn't expected that either. So it didn't seem to be another surprise, which wasn't bad, since Rimuru wasn't in the mood. Rimuru avoided looking at Seal Shizu's beautiful body. Her beautiful, perfectly shaped breasts were on display, and so was her beautiful pink flower. She was a provocative figure. Rimuru turned red, but Seal did not look embarrassed. I just want to lie down. She tilted her head in confusion. When she did so, her breasts swayed in a sexy way. But why don't you put on some clothes? Rimuru asked, covering his eyes. Master seemed sad about the possibility of Hinata being dead, so I thought sleeping like this would make him happy. Seal-san. Basically, Seal didn't like to see him sad, so she wanted to make him happy anyway. This was a natural thing for Seal, since she was created from an ability of Rimuru, but for Rimuru they were words that stirred his heart. Seal lay down and covered herself. If Master doesn't like it, I can get dressed. No, you don't have to. Rimuru covered himself and hugged her. Seal hugged him back. Thank you for your concern, I love you. I love you too. Seal and Rimuru stayed in a hug and Rimuru gave her a kiss on her cheek. Fufu, Seal-san and Rimuru-san are really cute. Yes, I have never seen Rimuru-san so happy. Chloe and Sakura smiled upon seeing them and lay down. Rimuru made a clone to sleep cuddled up in the two as well. In the courtyard the other day, the students were all waiting for Rimuru, Hajime and their group to talk. Liliana was also here. Everyone was avoiding the subject of Eri and Hayama. Those who were close to Hayama and Kondo locked themselves in their rooms. While Suzu, who was very close to Eri, was trying to talk to her, but Eri didn't want to. Aiko also didn't talk much since the last day. She was feeling guilty for having helped to blow up the church. The subject the students were talking about the most was Diablo's overwhelming strength and also the horror he brought. Kuki was practicing with his sword while waiting for the others to arrive. He hadn't said much since yesterday, but his expression was grim. Kuki, they'll be here in a little while. Why don't you stop training for a while? Shizuku suggested and he sat down. They're taking too long. Kuki complained. Well, they fought to save us, right? Let's let them rest for a while. If it wasn't for them, I don't know what would have happened. I don't trust them. Even though they saved us. They said they don't care about us anymore, remember? Kuki frowned as he spoke. You could tell his feelings were conflicting. Shizuku just snorted at his words. She was not in the mood to argue with Kuki. Hey, Amanogawa, don't you think you're overreacting? Even though they said that, they saved us. Besides, Shirasaki-san is still with them. She's our companion too. Even Nagaima couldn't bear to see Kuki bad-mouthing those who saved them. The other classmates seemed to agree as well. I'd rather Kaori didn't stay with, anymore, Kuki. Kuki stopped talking at Shizuku's warning. Shizuku had already told him that it was Kaori who chose to be with Hajime and it was not Kuki who should choose that. They sat down to wait for the others to come and Kuki said nothing more. Shizuku stood watching him with a worried expression. Rimuru, Hajime and the girls arrived. Diablo, Testarossa, Ultima and Carrera were also here. The other demons were helping with the rebuilding of the city. The students were a little startled to see Diablo, but they didn't say anything. First Shizuku asked Rimuru who Diablo was, and the group gave a brief explanation. They knew they would have to explain an hour, so they had already prepared for that. But it would also be a pain to explain everything in detail, so the explanation they gave was as follows. Rimuru came from another world and in that world he was a king. The classmates were shocked by this revelation. Knowing that one of their classmates had come from another world made them dizzy for a moment. But they seemed to have taken it well, as they didn't make any unreasonable comments. By the way, about how the otherworldly subordinates were here, Rimuru told them that they came by a magic that could only summon and not overtake worlds. Moreover, this magic only worked with these specific underlings. This was all true. What Rimuru used was the summoning of demons to summon them, so there was no way to leave this universe with this magic. Rimuru could already use this since he arrived in this universe, but he didn't do it for a reason. He didn't want to leave the demons stuck here with him and diminish Tempest's strength. The reason Rimuru summoned them now is because Seal managed to find a way to send them back. A few days ago Seal finally managed to completely re-establish the Soul Corridor with Veldora, so Rimuru could now contact him. So if the demons wanted to come back, it was just a matter of Rimuru talking to Veldora for someone to summon them. And so there are more universes? Shizuku asked after recovering from her surprise. Yes, I don't know how many, but there are several universes. Their classmates' shock was growing. Finding out that there are several other universes made them realize how small the world is. Okay, we'll talk more about the universes later, but now let's talk about them. Kuki said, pointing at Diablo and the demon girls. Are they your subordinates? For some reason Kuki's voice contained a bit of anger. The other classmates were also curious about that. Yes, that's right. Rimuru agreed without blinking. That seemed to have irritated Kuki. And what are they? Nagaima asked. The demons might look human, but he didn't think that was it. In fact, the boys were delighted when they saw Carrera, Ultima and Testarossa. On the outside they just looked like beautiful girls. I think that you should ask them. I'm not the one to talk about it. Don't worry, Rimuru-sama. We have no problem revealing our race. Testarossa stood up and approached the students. My name is Testarossa and this is Diablo, Carrera and Ultima. We are all demons. In this world you must also know us as spirits of the underworld. Peeved. Liliana spat out her tea. She was shocked by his words. Demons in this world were the stuff of legends, as were nature spirits. Shia, Yu and Tio were also surprised, but they had already imagined it would be something like this. Even because Rimuru had summoned spirits in the Haltina forest. I see. Shizuku didn't know about the legends of demons, so she wasn't that surprised, but she understood that these demons were not the same as the demon race. Besides, she didn't want to anger Diablo, after seeing the horror he brought. Wait. So those people who are helping to rebuild the capital are? Liliana looked startled. Yes, they are demons too. Don't worry, I asked them not to reveal their identity. Rimuru's words made Liliana want to scream. That's not the problem. But she held back. To Liliana the demons were pure evil. But they had helped save the city, so she would give them her vote of confidence this time. I think I'll let it go. As long as they don't cause any trouble. For now she sipped her tea to calm herself down. The other students didn't seem to have any problems with the demons either. From the outside they just looked like beautiful, normal people. Many of the male students had already fallen for the Testarossa, Ultima and Carrera. While many of the girls had a crush on Diablo. Even though he was scary. But there was someone who was not at all okay with this. You already know who it is. What do you mean, huh? How can you let demons loose out there? And why didn't anyone say anything about them being Rimuru's subordinates, huh? How can you have demons as subordinates? Kuki was irritated and wanted to know why Rimuru had demons as subordinates. At the beginning of Kuki's complaint, Rimuru just ignored him as usual, but as Kuki was getting more and more irritated he decided to answer him. However, someone acted before he could speak. You were being rude to Rimuru-sama. Goo. Carrera kicked Kuki, causing him to fly and hit the wall. Carrera was the shortest fuse of the demons, so she was the first to act. Wait, Carrera. Don't be hasty. Rimuru quickly stopped her, for if she didn't, she would have continued her attack and Kuki would have gone from this to better. Good thing Carrera shut that idiot up. Otherwise I would have ripped his tongue out. Right? I was thinking of offering him suffering worse than death. Seeing Testarossa and Ultima speak this with smiles made the students break into a cold sweat. A beautiful little girl and a beautiful woman smiling and saying brutal things scared even Hajime. Stop saying these things. Rimuru wanted to scream. No, okay? Let's not do anything like that, okay? Rimuru calmed them down and asked Kaori to heal Kuki. Kufufufufufufufufu. Diablo-kun. Diablo seemed about to do something to Kuki, so Rimuru scolded him. Everyone sat down in their chairs, except Kuki, and continued to talk. By the way, during the previous events Hajime had an aura of, it's so nice not to have to deal with that. He also seemed to have liked Carrera's attitude of kicking Kuki. Maybe if Carrera hadn't acted like that, Hajime-kun would have kicked Kuki instead? No, right? Rimuru couldn't shake the thought. Speaking of healing, Rimuru-kun, who is that? Shizuku pointed to Seal who was sitting next to Rimuru. She brought up this topic because Seal had healed Meld. Furthermore, this woman was extremely similar to Rimuru. In fact, their faces were basically identical, and if it were not for the color of their eyes and hair it would be difficult to differentiate between them. The only other difference was the muscles that Rimuru had acquired during his time as a human. He had decided to gain some muscles so people would stop mistaking him for a girl. Ah. Yes, I almost forgot. Rimuru thought it would be complicated to explain that Seal came from an ability, so he decided to give a simple summary. He pulled Seal around the waist, bringing her and his accent closer together. This here is my girlfriend, Seal. Phew. The students, including Shizuku, let out confused groans, while Yu and Tio laughed at their reactions. They seemed to have guessed that the situation would be exactly like this, with Rimuru casually revealing things and the students totally confused. Rimuru could have sworn he saw Shizuku casting him a judgmental look, but when he looked once more he saw her with her usual expression. It must have been just my imagination. It wasn't. Is that true? Shizuku asked, addressing Seal. Of course it is. I love Master with all my being. My body soul will are all his. He can do whatever he wants with me. Seal said as if it was something obvious and hugged Rimuru's arm at his side. It was clear that these were his true feelings. That answer made Shizuku's cheeks blush. The other students were also surprised by Ciel's words. Ciel was saying that it was literally his, that Rimuru could use her however he wanted and she wouldn't mind. This was proven in what she called him could be considered an odd way of thinking. After the surprise, the students showed very varied reactions. Most of the girls were gossiping among themselves, curious about the relationship, while the boys were boiling with anger and saying things like, "Damn, Rimuru is a hell of an eroge. How did he get so many beauties in such a short time? I want to know." Not only that, they are all beautiful and powerful as if they were some kind of goddesses. The new girl just saved Meld-san. It must be a family gift, right? After all, Nagumo is also forming his own harem. The person who made that last statement was met with rubber bullets from Hajime. By the way, the demons had already received the information about Rimuru's new partners. When they heard this, they were overjoyed to have more queens for them to serve. As for the students who were talking about how lucky Rimuru was to have more than one girl, the demons reacted like this. "Kufufufu, it is normal that Rimuru-sama is surrounded by girls. I agree, any woman would fall in love with our master. After all, he is so wonderful, kind, merciful. He is also so powerful, humble and has such a noble spirit. That's right. Rimuru-sama sure is amazing." Diablo made a comment like, "That's normal for Rimuru-sama," while the girls started praising Rimuru in many different ways. Rimuru, upon hearing them say this, just wanted to shout, "Stop, stop please." He was embarrassed to receive high praise. Rimuru was looking down with his cheeks slightly flushed. Chloe, Seal and Sakura didn't seem to have any complaints about the praise and just smiled as they saw Rimuru embarrassed. Meanwhile, Hajime was sending a wry look as if to say, "I never knew you were this amazing," in a wry tone. Yu, Shia, Tio and Kaori were casting kind looks at Rimuru, thinking that he had to deal with these people all day. Meanwhile, Akame stood looking at the demons curiously. As for the students, they were all looking at the demons as if to say, they really are loyal to Rimuru. The demons were still singing praises to Rimuru, who wanted to stick himself in a hole, when Chloe came to their rescue. "Guys, stop. Rimuru-san can't take it anymore." When Chloe spoke, the demons immediately fell silent. And Testarossa added, "Fufu, I think I spoke too passionately." After this event, the impression of Rimuru being king became deeper in the students' minds. Phew, Rimuru sighed in relief. The male students were once again casting envious glances at Rimuru. These looks were both because of his harem and because he was praised by the beautiful girls, demons. However, the looks were not so intense, because many of them thought, if someone is going to get Chloe, nothing more fair than a king. That thought also applied to the other beautiful girls. "Oh okay, Rimuru-kun's love life is not the focus here. We thank you for your help, but we want some answers," Shizuku said, and no one objected. "I wanted to ask if Rimuru-kun already knew about Eri's betrayal, and I also wanted to know more about the attack." Hearing Shizuku's words, the students looked at Rimuru. "Eh?" He let out a confused groan. "Why would I know about Eri's betrayal?" He wondered internally, but before he could say anything. "You put it in the letter, right?" Shizuku said, confused by his reaction. Ah. Rimuru remembered the letter he left for Shizuku, but he had a problem. He wasn't the one who wrote many of the things in that letter. It was Seal who told him to put a warning about Eri, so Rimuru didn't actually know anything about it. It's just that actually." Rimuru looked at Seal as if asking for help. He didn't want to reveal that Seal was his ability, so he didn't know what to say. Rimuru activated thought acceleration. Seal helped him make up an excuse and he deactivated the ability. "I was suspicious of her, but I had no proof, so I asked you to be careful," he said, trying to sound as confident as possible. "I see." Shizuku looked at him with a little admiration, so did the other students. "Stop it. I didn't do anything, stop looking at me like that," he wanted to scream. "What about the attack?" Maybe Sensei knows something about that, right? That might be related to what you wanted to tell us that day?" Aiko was surprised to be called out, but soon pulled herself together. She then began to tell about the evil gods and the liberators. She also talked about how they were the ones who attacked the city, joined with the demons, and manipulated people with the apostles. When she finished, "What do you mean? So we were dancing on the palm of the god's hand all this time? Why didn't you guys warn us when we met in Orcus?" Kuki became angry and questioned Hajime and Rimuru. Rimuru looked at Hajime as if to say, "It's your turn." Hajime looked at Kuki and asked, "Would you have believed it? What? If I had said that the gods have gone mad, would you have believed me? No, that would only have generated more discussion. But if you had provided evidence, then what? Are you an idiot? Why would we have to work so hard for you? The only thing we want is to get out of this world. I can't speak for others, but I don't care about you at all. That goes for the gods too." "You mean you don't care that the gods manipulate the people of this world?" "That's right. Look, let's stop right there. Any other complaints you have, I'll make you fly." Hajime replied with indifference and Kuki shut up. The other classmates who had not yet seen the change in Hajime were shocked. "Hajime-kun has to be a little more delicate," Rimuru muttered as he saw the scene of the two arguing. After discovering that they were being manipulated, the students were disheartened. They also realized that Hajime would not return to them. Shizuku confirmed with Hajime that the source of the information was the dungeons and also questioned him about the God Age magic. After he told her, "That's it. If Nagumo doesn't care about this world, I will save it. And for that we need the magic of the Age of God. We'll go with you." You could tell that Kuki was not being driven by justice, not least because he didn't say anything about the other members of the group who were also not going to help this world. He was attacking Haji. Actually, Rimuru intended to destroy the gods, but he wasn't going to say that, because he didn't want to keep showing off his strength. "No, I'll give you the locations and you go by yourselves." Hajime's gaze said, "Why are you inviting yourself?" Kuki cast him a dark look. "But you say it's extremely difficult, right? If we were to master a dungeon, would we stand a chance?" Shizuku asked. "Actually, you guys are too weak, but that doesn't matter." Hajime's words confused the students, so he explained. "Look, even I who was called incompetent managed to challenge a dungeon. In other words, you guys need willpower." Kuki tried to start another ruckus as Hajime implied that his will was weak, but was stopped by Shizuku. "Nagumo-kun, Rimuru-kun, could we go along with you? Just to a dungeon and then we'll go alone," Shizuku said, half embarrassed. Hajime, Rimuru and the girls talked among themselves for a while, and after Rimuru convinced Hajime, they accepted. Liliana also asked for a ride to Imorsho after they left town, and they didn't object as it was something simple. However, she also asked if they couldn't stay in the kingdom a while longer so that the kingdom wouldn't be left unprotected. After another time of discussion, Sai, "Okay, we will stay a little longer. I guess I can also fix the barrier." Hajime reluctantly agreed. Aiko, Liliana and Kaori, who previously cast sad looks, now cast happy looks. After they left the courtyard where they were talking, Rimuru, Chloe, Seal and Sakura called the demons over to talk. They wanted to know how things were going in Tempest. Testarossa took the lead and reported, "For now there have been no more disappearances. There has been no unrest in any of the towns in Tempest either. About the other countries, they had some things, but nothing worth mentioning. Today Tempest had 12 more cities besides the capital, Rimuru. In fact, these 12 cities were named after each of the 12 patrons. That was a little payback from Rimuru for the capital's name. Ah, yes, there is one thing. I almost forgot." Testarossa then told about a recent event in the country. After hearing her, Rimuru would want to say, "Why didn't you tell me this before?"